using a case study. The problem is there's no such thing as a single case study that can demonstrate everything because different demographics, different generations have different needs. So we're going to create a future case. I'm actually going to start with a couple and then progress them every 10 years from age 30 to 60. The only way I can do that is to magically make them born 10 years earlier and then move the case over. I'm not suggesting that any advisor would leave their client alone for 10 years. It's just meant to help explain power of the software. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is what did we add in 2019? So last year, we were working on adding the life insurance calculations deeply embedded into the core calculations of RazorPlan, not sitting on the top like most softwares. But then we found out the only way to demonstrate the value of life insurance is by doing comparisons and having a concept. So we developed planning concepts, or focus planning concepts. We looked at all the standard concepts in the industry, whether it's estate bond, IRP, RIF insurance, or you name it, and they all had one thing in common. They dealt with one element of financial planning. So we created 6 concepts that would cover off any and every sales concept you use in the insurance industry. And I'm going to be demonstrating a number of those. So then what we did was in January, some of you who use the software may have attended our launch webinar. We introduced life insurance. Now, it took a long time for me to figure out how to embed life insurance in RazorPlan. For years, I just refused to do it because it would break our golden rule. We have a rule that we develop around. Starting with nothing more than the client's name and their date of birth, you should be able to ask them a series of questions live using the software in front of them, and in 15 minutes have an analysis and understand what their needs are. Life insurance doesn't work well with that rule. What do you have to do? You normally have to transition out of planning software into an illustration program, whether it's Manulife, Sun Life, Empire Life, BMO, whatever, then enter more information, run some analysis, think it works, export to Excel, copy and paste it into the software, calculate, find out it doesn't work, repeat until you're done. So we needed to fix that. So what we did was we wrote our own illustration engine for all term policies and UL, both level and YRT. We didn't write a whole life engine. So what that allows you to do is run simulations, and the cost of insurance doesn't represent one company, it represents them all. We will be very close. We'll usually fall number 5 in a survey for anything. So male, female, smoker, non-smoker, doesn't matter. But in 2 clicks of the mouse, you can enter an insurance solution, a simulated solution, and find out whether it works for the client and whether they agree to proceed. Then you can go to your illustration software knowing exactly what the face amount, premium, rate of return, everything you need, even if you want to run whole life and par products. You then run that, export it, import it into the software on top of the simulation, and you do it once. But the client is already sold before you start playing with insurance software. So how do you implement, or how do you look at or audit this policy? We have the answer now. If you can enter the cost of insurance and you create your own in-force illustrations, and if you enter the premium, the cost of insurance, the policy fee, everything off of the illustration, including the current cash value, it will be exactly what you get from an insurance company in force, provided the interest rates are the same. And that's the trouble with some of these illustrations. They have hidden bonusing and things like that. We just do 3.5%, 4%. So you can show when an old YRT will implode upon itself, and you can fix the problem without being the agent of record. And then finally, we're coming out with our tax update. It includes 2019 tax tables, enhanced CPP calculations. And I do not believe you will get those calculations from any other software program for months, even if you get it this year, because they do not exist anywhere that you can find them on the internet. The second thing is we've added passive corporate income. And then we're coming out with sequence of return, minimum estate solvers, and a bunch of other stuff. So let's get back to our future case. This is our couple, Jennifer and Marty, and their advisor is Emmett. The best kept secret in my company is Razor Leads. And that's possibly because you have to turn it on. In order to turn it on, in the top right-hand corner under your account, you turn on Razor Leads. You see, as a software company, we don't force you to do anything. We don't also do opt-out kind of stuff. So we try to notify you. We have blogs, we have newsletters, we have webinars, but a lot of advisors don't don't attend that stuff. But anyway, so there's a link. That is Emmett Brown's customized link to a landing page and a retirement readiness calculator for both social media marketing, bottom of your email. Do you know what your retirement number is? And it's the exact same calculations as RazorPlan. And when you get that lead, when the client shares it with you, it goes into your RazorPlan database. No double entry, no start over. All you do is accept the lead. So this is the end of the 5-minute process for a client to determine what their retirement number is, and it compares them to the average Canadian in our database. So what do we know from this contact? This is our first client. The big thing you need to know is they simply want some mortgage insurance. There's other information you'll learn, but the contact is they just got married, they bought a house, they want to buy $300,000 of mortgage insurance. Okay? So what happens is on your phone, by the way, when somebody shares this, and we have advisors that have received over 150 leads since we launched this almost 2 years ago. I know it's the best kept secret, but it is a tool, but you have to work it. We're not going to get the leads for you. You have to put it on your business card, your website. You have to share it with your clients. Ask them to share it through their social media networks. Did you take the retirement challenge? I did. Click here. There's all kinds of creative ways. Anyways, click on leads, and there's Marty McFly. And you click on accept, and it loads into the software. Okay? And then, because they only want mortgage insurance, and you should always go after the low-hanging fruit first, we're going to do a simple life insurance needs analysis. And so we have 7 different applications, and the one on the bottom is life insurance. And so to this file, you can do single needs as well as integrated calculations. And so you just add or move life insurance from the right side to the left side, and you click open. Now, if you're starting from new, all the data is on that panel on the right-hand side. Simple to do. You just go through it and you enter some data. Or because we have this lead that came into RazorPlan, we just pre-populate. We just pull it all in. We make a few changes. We add a couple of numbers. And, you know, lo and behold, they need about $300,000 to $500,000. So they should have about $500,000 to cover off a few income replacement issues. They're not worried about each other. They both are high income earners in the IT industry. They don't want children. They want Cancun. That's what they want, right? And so after talking to them, we find out a little bit more information, the value of the house. A couple of really important things about this millennial couple. Marty has a gold-plated pension plan, $57,000 with his employer. That's what he's expecting. And a $500,000 inheritance. So this is the red I said disappeared as soon as we added enhanced CPP. But for now it's red. And so we want to make a few changes. But when you hit calculate, you land on the chart screen. And there's 5 different focused charts. It's designed for point of sale. And if you're using a laptop with high resolution, you just change the zoom on your browser. So you can zoom in, you can do 120, 130 zoom, depending upon who your client is and what you're showing, okay? So what I want to do though, is I want to add value. I want to add value. I don't just want to sell them the insurance. And so I create a scenario and I made a couple of recommendations in addition to the life insurance. So $500,000 at T20. I talked about or recommended some critical illness. I suggested to them that they change their mortgage. I used another calculator that's a mortgage calculator where you can do weekly, if you change to a weekly, if you do this, you can show them how they can pay down their debt faster because young couples really want to pay off debts and so on and so forth. And I talked to them about using tax refunds in their TFSA. So I want to demonstrate our life insurance module. So in personal assets, on step 3 and step 4, corporate assets. They both have a life insurance tab now. And all you do is click add. So it's one to many. You don't have to enter 1, 2, 3. And you choose the issue date. So if it's a policy you sold 4 years ago, you enter the issue date 4 years ago. It knows the date of birth. It knows the ages. It knows if your closest age is coming up, and so on and so forth. It does everything it's supposed to do. By the way, that's if you forget everything else I tell you today, just remember this. RazorPlan does everything it's supposed to do. It just does. Because we get questions all the time. Does it do this? If I do that, will it do this? What happens to the tax refund? So here I've selected a simulation. I'm doing a T20 simulation. So we're using our rates of return, which will fall around number 5 on a survey. I'm doing it because I want it quick. I just want to find out if Marty's prepared to pay around $400 a year for his insurance. That's it. Now, I might be able to find it for $375. Wouldn't that be better? But he is prepared to pay $400, and Jennifer is prepared to pay her premium. So I have the sale before I've ever done an illustration. So later, if I want to, I can now import it. But this is the change to their cash flow. All the red's gone. I did a good job. But how good a job? Outside of the life insurance, what is my value? What is the value of this additional planning I've done for the client? So we've added focused planning. So under the print button, you then select focused planning. Because the idea is to focus on what really matters to the client. In this case, one of the things that matters to the client is financial management. The one area of financial planning that has the greatest impact on whether our clients will achieve their goals and objectives that pay us nothing. There is virtually no, other than a little bit of mortgage, if you can sell mortgages, there is virtually little upside on the commission side for financial advisors to advise people on budgeting and debt management. But it is one of the most important areas. And it's the one thing that will guarantee all your other recommendations are followed. And so when you print a financial management concept, you get 6 pages. But I'm just going to focus on the value of advice page. So what we've done is we've peeled out the focus. The focus is net worth, not investments, not retirement, not tax. They're too young. It's net worth. And look at how much additional net worth we've created. Over the next 5 years, follow my plan, and it's worth $51,000 to you. I didn't increase rates of return. I didn't do anything. We paid off their debts a little faster, which impacts net worth. We've added a little bit of TFSA from RSP refunds, which adds to net worth, and so on and so forth. So I've added value. This is my value. So now it's 10 years later. You remember what the client's goals were? Live, travel, no kids, make lots of money. So let's find out, where are they now? Well, they now have 2 children. Things happen, right? Rose and Chris. And the big change is Jennifer is now self-employed for 2 reasons. Her company basically went out of business, and she has 2 kids, and it's better to start her own IT consulting firm than to pay for childcare. And so she's making less, but not paying for childcare. So things aren't bad. However, they have less than projected net worth based on that plan 10 years ago. The 10-year challenge is less. And that's simply because they saved less. They also want to buy a new house. Okay, So what else do we know? Well, their net worth is now a little over $550,000. The gold-plated pension is going to be worth more in today's dollars because we're 10 years closer to the pension. He's still got the inheritance. Everything's going well, but we have a different red problem. By the way, CPP enhancement took that away as well. So again, I have to fix it, but it doesn't matter. So this is where we are. So we have less savings than anticipated, which is normal. We still have a little bit of work to do on retirement. They've changed their retirement goal from 50 to 55. They're starting to realize that 50 really wasn't all that realistic in the big picture. And so now we just carry on. This is in addition to doing bug on the windshield kind of analysis. If you don't make it home tonight, needs analysis. We also do human capital value. We calculate all the lost income for a certain period of time. In this case, I'm going right to life expectancy if Marty or Jennifer die. This is a better analysis. It'll give you the same or slightly higher number than any needs analysis, and that's simply because our income pays for our needs. That's it. That's just the way it is. You can't have needs greater than your income. So if you calculate the value of your income, you get the same answer, but you don't have to ask any questions. But it also tells you what the answer is in 10 years. The answer for Marty in 10 years drops from 1.6 to 1 million. And that is normal. Simply because he's got 10 less years of income to insure now. It will always go down when you're talking about income replacement, unless he has quantum leaps in income, which I'm going to show you in the next two cases. But you can't plan on having quantum leaps in income today. You can plan for inflationary changes. And so this allows you to build a layered solution. And by the way, our insurance tool, we're very close to having an API. And an API is a fancy way of saying two-way communication with life design analysis. So that we can push out the needs. You use them to run the surveys, build the layered cake of insurance, push a button and fire it back into RazorPlan. So what are my recommendations this time? You got to work a little longer, Marty and Jennifer. This age 55 stuff isn't going to work. You need to if you want to buy the house, you need to take on more debt. You have the collateral, it's not a big deal. And you need some more life insurance. You now have kids. By the way, the T20 is now a T10 policy from the first meeting. And so with those changes, this is what we're looking at. I've solved all the cash flow problems again. I've reestablished some new savings. I've adjusted some of their goals and objectives. Everything's working well. Okay? This is the financial assets page. So what we've done is we have three lines. Now, the first thing is the green bar is the home, and it stops. It stops on purpose. The focus is on income producing assets, net worth, and estate worth at retirement. It's not that it disappears, we just don't want to look at it anymore. Okay? Secondly, the blue line represents the minimum income producing assets at all points in time. So we answer always, immediately, in advance, the four questions clients have. When can I retire? How much can I spend? What do I need to save? And what's my minimum rate of return? We do it in advance. We've always done that. The software was designed to do that so you wouldn't have to do what ifs. We've been doing this for 8-9 years. Again, it's a really well-kept secret. So we do everything. So the gray line is net worth, the green line is estate worth. So we can see if there's a joint disaster with this couple, anytime before retirement, the kids are pretty much taken care of. They'll have a little over up to $3 million worth of estate. That first drop is that first 10-year term policy expiring. Because I'm not showing renewing it at that higher premium. I mean, do people really do that? Do they really renew at the multiple premium? No, they either rewrite it or convert it if your health is gone, right? And so we can see the adjustments. It's a lot of information. But I want to show you the risk management focus tool. And so what risk management does is it just builds that layer cake for you. It shows you, and I'm only insuring them to retirement. That's what they cared about, not to life expectancy. So if they're covering off to retirement, we have a dark blue block, which is 20-year term, and a light blue block, which is 10-year term. The 10-year term is taken care of with their original policy, and they need a new 20-year term policy. Over on the left, or the right, critical illness. I also recommend 3 years of critical illness, 3 years of human capital for critical illness. And we just break it out. We say of that 3 years human capital, what portion of it is for savings, what portion of it is for debt, and what is discretionary. Whether it's for healthcare, putting in new ramps, taking time off work, your spouse taking time off work, it's just discretionary. It's sort of a reverse needs analysis, okay? So, now it's 1969. They're now 50. Do you like my license plate? Anyway, so what's happened in the past 10 years? Big thing is Marty's out of a job, lost his pension. Stuff happens, right? Was it really going to be that rosy for 30 years, Marty? Probably not. They're looking at retiring at age 60 now. The good news is that bankruptcy triggered an event where they incorporated and started their own IT firm, and business is growing. It's actually the best thing that could have happened to them. So where are we now? That second house has gone up in value. The mortgage has gone down. Things are okay. They've managed to max out all their RSPs and TFSAs. Things are good. Kids are growing. They're planning on university for Rose. And they don't know what Chris wants. He likes to play football and date. And this is their cash flow. The yellow is corporate investments. They're saving about $8,000 a month of after-tax retained earnings in their corporation. Okay? This is, again, a different picture under the 2019 tax release that will be coming out. But that's what it looks like. And so we're drawing in retirement, once we hit that gray line, we use the same color. Pre-retirement is savings, so it's out of your pocket. Post-retirement is spending, so it's into your pocket. We use the same color for simplicity. That is dividends. And what does RazorPlan do? Everything it's supposed to do. It calculates the dividend tax credit, the gross up, and so on and so forth. It does what it's supposed to do. So now we can see assets. Our blue line, we've got a fairly decent amount of liquid assets above the blue line need. And anything above the blue line, do you know what we call that, or what I call that as a life insurance advisor? I call that premium, because it identifies it. Tells you exactly how much extra capital there's going to be today and in the future that can be reallocated to a unique financial product with special powers in both taxation and estate. The big thing is this gap right here. If I can get my mouse to move. Estate value, net worth. That gap is taxed. Also, old age security, the dark bars, those tall bars, that's OAS clawback. When they're tiny, that's age credit clawback. Okay? And so, yeah, by the time they turn 70, when their RSPs kick in, there's no way they're getting old age security. Their average or marginal tax rate is just under 50%, and their average tax rate's around 20%. It's a bit high, actually. You can bring it down, probably 25% lower. By the way, this is the document you should rely on if you're going to recommend an insured annuity. This document tells you what the marginal tax rate is. And most of the insured annuity concepts and case studies I've ever looked at, there's no way that little 72-year-old Mary is going to pay tax at 50% ever. And so you got to be careful with that one. There's a lot of strategies we use that are dependent on income tax and a marginal tax rate. This is your compliance document. This establishes the tax rate. This creates the need. Here's the estate need. $2.5 million at the peak. That's what I'm interested in. So what am I recommending? Oh, and this is the 4 questions document or the retirement options document. How much can I spend? When can I retire? How much do I need to earn on my investments? And how much asset do I require? All the answers are there. They're instantly there. That panel on the right, you make a change, this instantly updates. So it's a live feed. And you can do as many what ifs you want with that data. And then when you get it right, you just hit save. And so it saves you time. It's about convenience. Everything we do is to try and make advisors' lives easier. Okay? So what are my recommendations? $1 million where the joint lasts to die, Manulife Par. I chose Manulife Par only because I was experimenting back then with different imports and how I was going to implement things like IFAs and IRPs. So I used the product. Okay? I'm not leveraging in this scenario though. $57,000 premium for 10 years. I love, how many people do corporate owned, shared ownership, ROP, CI? I love that product. We do a ton of that. We probably lead with high net worth business owners, lots of cash flow. We lead with that product. That product is also one of the things that will help to limit passive investment income tax penalties, because you're just pulling it out of income and then they get it back personally tax-free. And if they get sick in the meantime, it's a hedge. So I'm going to show you how to enter a Manulife or any life insurance company product. Par, whole life, doesn't matter. They all work the same way. So the first thing you do is you add a policy, whole life or permanent, and then you select, you go from simulation to import. And then under that, you select the insurance company. Now you don't have to select an insurance company, but if you select the insurance company, we will do our best to map all 27 columns of data and find the 5 we need in the financial plan. So it saves you time. Once you do that, you select the file and you hit save and it loads. So this is the screen. So this is picking up the Excel exported file. Now, your wholesalers are right over there with all this software. Every one of them, somewhere buried deep somewhere, is a little button. They all have different icons and it's just export to Excel. Just make sure it's all the columns, or at least all the columns that are needed. Okay? And the columns we need are premium, death benefit, cash value, and ACB. Those are the only columns we need. We don't need anything else. We don't care their calculation on estate value, rate of return, and things like that. We're doing something else. So here it's been mapped. We just import. So now what we've got is we've changed or reallocated some of the asset, some of the corporate asset, into a new category called cash value permanent life insurance. That's had the effect of adding more net worth long term and narrowing the gap between net worth and estate worth. But just how much? What kind of value? So I could call this a corporate estate bond, a corporate estate shelter, a corporate this, a corporate that. It doesn't matter. It's estate planning. So I'm going to pick up the estate planning. And when I do, again, I'm going to first focus on value. The value of advice over the next 5 years, let's go 15 years, $1.2 million greater estate value. Now, one of the biggest questions we've had since we launched the insurance component of RazorPlan is, why is there only 1.2 million? The death benefit payout in the 15th year is 3.5 or 2.5. Well, it's because part of that is already accounted for on the net worth statement. And you can't put it on the net, I can't put cash value on the net worth statement and cash value on the estate worth statement in addition and show double the increase. It doesn't work. It's net worth. The asset's worth an extra 1.2 million if you die over and above your net worth. But look at this value of advice. We've saved a little bit in income tax for the first 15 or 20 years. That's on the right chart. And a huge increase in estate value. And I want to talk about this. Every one of these documents has a change in financial position statement. And in this one, we're focusing on 3 things in the 2 scenarios: net worth, deferred taxes, and the additional bump or the net life insurance payout over and above the cash value. And so let's look at this year right here. This is year 14, 2033. They're both 64. And if you go over there to the right, their net worth is $155,000 less over 14 years. That is the cost of this life insurance in terms of lost net worth. Life insurance will lower your net worth in the early years. It just does. You're paying for life insurance. You have less net worth. However, what do you get for that $155,000 over 14 years? You get $233,000 of tax savings on your terminal return, and you get $1.1 million of additional benefit for your estate. That's pretty good return. That's good return. By the way, anyone know why we go from negative 155 to positive 423 in the 15th year? That's the ROP. The ROP came in. RazorPlan does what it's supposed to do. The ROP came in. Nobody got sick. So now let's go to 1959, my favorite year. That was the year I was born. So what happened in the last 10 years? I've been given the 7-minute warning. Yep. So a couple of things have happened. Business is great. Jennifer's a cancer survivor. Things happen. That's why we sell insurance. Her life expectancy is much less. And there's a lot more wealth. Their net worth is now $6.8 million. These are higher net worth corporate owners. Okay? They have the cash value of the life insurance. Everything's good. So when we run the analysis, by the way, they don't want to retire till about 70. From 65 to 70, they're going to semi-retirement, sort of just be advisors. Rose is taking over the business. She's the succession plan. It raises all kinds of questions. You get like, what about Chris? What about what's fair? Chris is going to be a surgeon. That's what he wants to do. That orange is $200,000 of taxable income, $100,000 each from the corporation. Their cash flow looks good. Their net worth looks good. Okay? Our blue line is now much lower. Part of that's because of this draw from the business. So they've, all of the tax-paid TFSAs are excess. All of the corporate assets are excess. All of the cash value of the life insurance is excess. We still have a fairly decent gap, though. We're not going to get old age security based upon the way things are today. It's just not going to happen. Anyone know why one of the bars disappears? We've assumed Jennifer does not live beyond age 75 in this analysis. So that's why the average tax rate goes up and the clawback from old age security disappears. Jennifer's no longer part of the analysis. And there's no income splitting available. Tax bill is almost $3.5 million. We have lots of room for more income, flexibility. They can do virtually whatever they want. So if they want to spend 10 years traveling the world, I would encourage them to do it, particularly with Jennifer's help. So this is what I'm going to show you now. We're going to convert the $1 million a term to a corporate UL and max fund it. Now in the other cities, I've asked the question, why UL this time, max funding? I got a different answer. I'm just going to tell you. I just want to show you how to do a manual entry for a UL product, whether it's in force or a new policy. I just want to demonstrate how easy it is to do. So that's why I chose it. There's other considerations, key person, lots of things we can do. By the way, in our industry, and I've got a number of competitors, we call it financial planning software. It is a lie. It isn't. It's like an MRI is not surgery. It's analysis. This is analytical stuff. Yes, it helps you build a financial plan, but in and of itself, there is no software available in North America or Europe that when you put in numbers will print a financial plan. It doesn't exist. All these e-planning tools that say, here, go on, answer 5 questions and we'll give you a financial plan. It's not. There are no plans. It's only analytics. You are the plan. One of the best plans I ever did, was 3 recommendations on a napkin. That's all that was needed. But the analytics were serious. Just keep that in mind. You're the plan, not the software. The doctor is the surgeon, not the x-ray. So all you do when you add the policy is select manual entry. When you click on manual entry, you get this new tab called COI. And all you do is enter the cost of insurance per thousand. And an advisor asked us, why can't we just put in the total premium or the total cost? Why do I have to divide the cost of insurance by 1,000 for $1 million policy? And it's so that you can change the face amount. And on in-force policies, it's very important to be able to change the face amount on the fly. Because if the policy is going to lapse in 8 years and the client can't afford to put more money in it, you can show them if they drop the coverage by 100,000, the policy doesn't lapse. So that's why we built it that way, to make it more convenient. So when you're done, it just builds it, and here you go. And I took that cost of insurance from the insurance company that I used to run the illustration, and those values are exact to what they pushed out. And if I want to change the premium or if I want to change the face amount, I can play with it all day long inside Razor, and I don't have to go back. I turned this into an IRP leverage strategy. And when I replaced that income, things happened. By the way, do you see how the blue line goes up and we got extra money sitting in there? We got a little extra corporate and a little extra personal cash. That's the death claim for Jennifer. And you can see we've saved them some tax. And so I'm going to speed up a little bit. I'm going to load the tax planning strategy, okay? And I'm going to load the estate planning strategy. So you can build more than one strategy, and sometimes you want to show more than one strategy. So here's the tax planning strategy. So we see that big trough in average tax rate. So we calculate the overall average tax rate, and that's because we're IRPing it. I could work with this even more. I could extend that IRP. I could do all kinds of stuff. You can do whatever you need. The cumulative tax bill is dramatically decreased. There's no real value of advice for the next 5 years because it's business as usual. But in the next 5 years, save them $450,000 worth of tax. We've also saved them $25,000 on age credit clawback and $125,000 on old age security clawback. That is value. This is value. This is all about leading with planning, advice, and your value, not the product. The product's secondary. Always, the product is just part of the solution. It's one of the tools. You have to sell the blueprint before you can build the house. Unfortunately, a lot of what we do in this industry is we show them the house. We try and get them to buy a house before it's built. Anyways, so the e-planning, we have an e-book, it's called Planning as a Concept. And it explains our rationale, and it's our argument for you to stop using sales concepts produced by suppliers. Nothing against suppliers, but stop using sales concepts provided by suppliers. They're flat, and it's because they use an average rate of return or an average tax rate. They're not three-dimensional. Coming out of RazorPlan, they're three-dimensional. You will get better results. So if you go into your secure portal, there'll be a link for RazorPlan. It leads you to this landing page. For standard, it's $55 a month. If you want to include the insurance, so it's RazorPlan Insurance, it's $80 a month. If you pay annual, it'll be as little as $73 a month.